Wei, we're going to open up with the thing keeping you stuck is also the thing keeping you safe. What do you think
Mm.
about that?
It's actually my life, really. So for me, I've followed the path that was prescribed to me by my parents, by society, go to school, go to uni, get a job with a big company, stable career. And that's what I've done for over 2 decades. I studied engineering and I've worked in the largest companies in oil and gas and in mining and now in construction. I don't have to worry about money. I have a pretty good salary, but I am at somebody else's mercy, my employers. They tell me that I need to come into the office from this time, 9 to 5, 8, probably even longer. They tell me where I need to go to work, what I need to do. So I don't have the freedom. But I do have security. I do have stability. And when you ask that question, that's the thing that is keeping you safe. It is keeping me safe,
Mm.
but it's also keeping me stuck because it's so nice here. It's in the comfort zone, right? I don't
Yeah.
really need to do it. I've worked hard, up until this point in my career, and I'm pretty comfortable, have a house, a family, and I get enough money left over to do my hobbies. Now, why do I want to, go back and try something really, put myself through a lot more pain? And that is the challenge, and that's what's keeping me stuck.
Yeah. And it's almost the irony of you've worked hard
Mm,
to create a world where you aren't you have a very good life. So you've
mm,
worked hard to get that. Yet it sounds like now there's something pulling you. There's a question. There's something inside of you that's just pulling you that bit,
mm.
saying, I've got everything, but this isn't really satisfying.
Yeah.
And I'm, I've known you for a bit now, but what was there a time, or what was the time that made you think, hang on, this corporate career isn't quite what I'm after in the world?
Yeah, yeah. There has been several, incidents, that happened during my career. Those are like, sort of reminders, I would say the first one was right after my first graduate job. Now, I landed my dream job in Shell, which is the largest oil and gas energy company in the world. And I actually got to go to Denmark, and I spent, in the end, 3 and a bit years in Denmark, working in a oil refinery, but also very close to the head office, which is in the Netherlands. So, I was living the dream that I wanted. I was traveling the world. I was working. I had interesting job. I was meeting lots of people. Um, the time I remember that this was not quite for me was I remember reading a book, and can't remember which book it was, but the message that came to me was, what does success actually mean to you?
Mm, yeah.
Because by this time I was defining my success by everybody else's definition. My parents, society, my employers. And that concept in that book actually made me question, did I really want this? And at that time, I was probably 3 years in Europe, living everybody's dream. But I think I was getting a little bit sick of it because I was only seeing my family once a year for maybe 3 or 4 weeks. And I was away from my friends. And that was the start where I decided maybe, no, that's not what I want. I want to actually go back to New Zealand, where I was living at that, where I sort of grew up. And that's what I did. The other incident before I made that decision was I realized my work was, I'm a cog in this giant machine.
Mm,
And although the work that I was doing was, engineering, it's technical and it's interesting, all I was really doing was getting information from one set of people, writing an email and send it off to some other people.
Yeah.
That's what I was doing. And dealing with, the corporate hierarchy and inefficiencies and the politics. And that's what I was trying to do, just navigate through this whole giant machine. It was very hard to see the impact of the work that I was doing.
Yeah, interesting. So you had that feeling of you, you had that slightly probably confronting feeling of seeing
Mm.
yourself as a cog almost, and then realizing, but with all this work I'm doing, what is the thing that I've created out of this?
Yeah. Yeah. Lots of emails.
Isn't
Yeah.
it scary when you look back at the email, your inbox for emails, and you
Mm.
suddenly realize you've worked in a job for maybe 5 years or 10 years or something, or my emails that I've got, and I've got 20,000 emails over 10 years, and you think, how is this actually possible?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so that was then. That was then I actually walked away from, when I started, I was on this leadership track in Shell. They have this talent management pipeline and said, stay with us for 20 years, you'll end up, at this point. And it was very attractive to me as I got started, but towards the end of it, I was like, no, it's not what I wanted. And I actually ended up just resigning and then going back to New Zealand without really another job. So yeah, so that was one from corporate. The other time was probably about 10 years ago now. I was with a company, so Origin Energy in Australia. This time, I went through that same thing again. It was big. It was a nice company. It had good values and lots of nice initiatives that they try to do, along with trying to, make money, of course. I just got promoted, and probably a year after I got promoted, I struggled in the team leader role. I was promised that I'll get given, mentoring and support, and what happened was the project reached a crunch point, and then they need to cut people. And here I thought I would be safe because I was a staff member. A lot of project was staffed by contractors, so I thought there's this understanding that the contractors would go first, and the staff would could get to continue. But no, I was one of the first ones to let go, and not only was I not given the support, I was let go, and I went through this whole 5 stages of grief, getting shocked and really angry at the leaders in the project. But at the end of it, I realized I didn't do the work. I just sort of assumed that this was going to be a given for me just because I was a I was a staff member. And that was when I realized, nah, regardless of where you are in this big organization, in the end, you are a number, and you have to survive. And to survive is you have to play the organizational politics. And at that time, it was the Game of Thrones, and I played and I lost, or rather, I was like Ned Stark, and I really had no idea what was going on, and I got cut.
Yeah.
So yeah, that whole Game of Thrones analogy was really, that was really present for me, and that was when that was the second wake up call that this corporate game was not going to give me what I wanted.
And it sounds like ironic that two of the biggest points in your life, you got everything that you were working towards,
Mm,
promotions, dream job out of uni.
mm,
They're the 2 points that sound like actually made you want something else and
mm-hmm,
realize that it's not what you wanted. Um,
mm,
and I think that's something interesting when certainly I go to conferences or events that are very much entrepreneur based. Entrepreneurs and business owners talking in terms of resources. I have these resources as in staff, as in
Mm-hmm.
people,
Yeah.
but they're talked about as a general, if I move them here, if I do this, it's a resource. It's not a human as such.
Mm-hmm.
And sure, I always say that I think businesses, especially corporate, people think that they put in programs to make the employees love them and
Yeah. Yeah.
enjoy being there. But I actually think corporate, as a business, most businesses actually put in the minimum viable program they can to keep just staff just about happy to stay there.
Well, it makes sense, right? Business is a brutal game. You win by your cash flow and you win by your profits. So there's incentive. Businesses are incentivized to minimize costs and maximize profits. So,
Mm.
I mean, that's the brutal truth, isn't it?
Yeah, and I guess that's what leaves you vulnerable. But did those experiences also teach you, well, hey, I need to actually be in control of something. I need to have something
Mm.
that I control
Yep.
that isn't the external thing that's controlling me to
Mm.
actually take my life forward. It sounds like those are probably points, and especially the one 10 years ago, that's really led you to somewhat, I would say, of today, of how I know you and what you work on.
Yeah. Look, the third point where it really became a wake up call, and then I actually took action, was just right after COVID. One of the things after having kids, I didn't want to do, I dreaded, was doing fly in, fly out, or FIFO.
Yep.
And unfortunately, in my line of work, engineering and construction and project management, that's where all the opportunities are, and that's where all the big monies are made. So I got made redundant during COVID, and I was actually able to get another role within 2 weeks. And unfortunately, it was a FIFO role.
Mm.
And at that time, I didn't think I had any other choice, because with all the uncertainty going on, I thought, hey, I need to provide for my family. One thing I can guarantee if I take this job is that we're going to be taken care of financially.
Mm.
And off I went on my FIFO job, thinking, okay, I'm going to be doing my bit to provide for my family. And so what happened was, this was also the time I started getting into online business and
Mm.
create and set and looking at what I can do as an entrepreneur. And one of the things I came to was something that I learned, a valuable skill that I have, was job search. Because I went through 3 redundancies in a decade from what was supposed to be a safe career path, like engineering. And and then I got a job within two weeks after being made redundant. So that was like my catch line. So that was happening in parallel, and I would go on my FIFO role, and after work, while everybody was just drinking and watching Netflix and all of that, I was actually building my online business.
Mm.
And I saw it. This is not something I would do forever, but I would do it while providing for my family. I thought I was doing the right thing until one of the school holidays. I arranged for my kids and my wife to come and visit me uh, in Proserpine, which is an hour away from where I was working. So we were going to spend some time in Bowen and spend some time in Early Beach. But the day before they were going to fly out, I got a call from my wife, and she was, very serious and low voice. She said that I don't want you to panic, but I just made a call to Lifeline. I just got really, really overwhelmed, and I thought about ending it.
Wow.
That was the penny dropped for me, and I thought I was doing the right thing. I played by what I knew was the rules. Just go and on the FIFO job and just take care of myself financially. But what I didn't get was what I was giving up in order to have that financial stability. And what I was giving up was time at home. To be there to support my wife, because she was at that time had her own little side business going and looking after 2 young kids. And that was too overwhelmed for her. And she would tell me later on, she'd rather that, we didn't have that financial stability. She preferred to have me by her side as we work out what was the next thing. But I automatically just assume I need to take care of the family financially. I'm going to take this job, and there we go. So,
yeah, wow.
Yeah, so that's when I realized creating a online business. We can go into that previously. I did get into a traditional type of business, and it was a hospitality business, cafe, restaurant, and a bar. And I swore I would never get into that again. And I was very clear. I had a very clear idea what my next business was going to look like. So
Yeah.
it is an online business. And I swear, so after that incident, building an online business that can replace my 9 to 5 is the number one thing I need to do.
Yep.
So, and that's where I'm on now. That is my journey, and that's what I'm working on. I'm not there yet. I'm making momentum, but this is the thing, my number one thing.
Yeah, and I know you're both mixing, some of your 9 to 5 with helping people actually move on from their 9 to 5 as well. So you're living the journey. But I also know lots of people who've been through your program and been through your step by step for doing this and are creating successful products and businesses out of it too. So it's almost like you're having to, you've actually lived and you're living the process along with being able to help others through that process at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. And when I discovered this online business model, it's just a light bulb popped up in my head, right? It was in this age of internet, social media, and now really this year, AI, you don't have to be the expert. You don't have to have decades of experience in order to teach people, to coach people. Right. And I think this is the biggest block, right, that we have, that we feel like imposters if we do it. But what I figured out with what I've been doing is that you only really need to be a chapter or a couple of chapters ahead of who you're trying to coach or help to be able to add value. You don't need to be, the Tony Robbins, right, the gurus to be able to change someone's life. Yes, they fulfill a thing in the marketplace, but there's also a place in the marketplace for somebody who is doing the work and do the work alongside you. So that's the thing, that's what I'm teaching the people who are working with me is actually the best product for you is a problem that you have solved yourself.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I like that. So you're saying that really everyone, especially people who may have been in corporate for 10, 15, 20 years, they probably have so much experience, whether that's life experience around that or maybe experience in a specific field or maybe just a passion. By the time most people hit their late 20s, mid 30s to 40s, they've actually been doing some of their passions for such a long time. They're probably some of the experts in the world at that passion.
Yeah.
So it sounds like part of your journey was you have tried a few things. I know a bit more of your cafe story outside of this podcast. So you have tried other things and worked on other things. And it sounds like you made the cafe, I'll say, somewhat successful.
I wouldn't. Well, depending on what you look at, how do you define success, right? What does success mean to you?
Yeah.
I
Well,
wouldn't say it was a financial success, but if you look at it, we tried to, in addition to serving food and all that, we were in a vibrant, artist part of the city in Auckland. We formed partnerships with local radio stations, DJs, and next to us was a startup, music television, and we actually collaborated with them to, bring artists and performance in the cafe. Whether that translate to real, real, profits or not, don't know. But yeah, we are really, proud of the fact that we try to do something more than profit. The other thing is the school of hard knocks, right? And I there are things I learned from running that business you could never learn in doing an MBA.
yeah.
Right? The only things, like, what do you do if someone is having a fight in your cafe? How do you deal with that crisis, right? And you had a manager. I had a manager who decided to walk off their job, went to watch a concert down the road, and left the venue without a duty manager. How do you discipline this staff?
Yeah.
Right. And what I also realized running that cafe was I really loved the whole buying and selling of the business, but not so much running and operating it. So that's something helped me discover what I enjoy doing. And yeah, so yeah, but coming back to your point, yes, we accumulate a lot of experience, and who I work with are usually older guys who have been in corporate and established careers and looking to do something else. But like I said, in the age of internet, social media, and AI, you actually don't need to have those experience to get started either, right? The other model you could do is you can be the reporter.
Yeah. Okay.
A reporter is somebody who is just gathering the information, right? So, for example, I'm a reporter for all things digital marketing and online business. If I look at myself, where do I spend my money? What do I enjoy reading, and what sort of content I enjoy consuming? It's actually business related. It's about digital technologies. It's about entrepreneurship. So what I can do is I'm doing this anyway, right? I'm reading all of these stuff, and I just package it up into bite-sized, interesting content, or I curate the content for people who are also interested in it, and I save them time because they don't need to go and watch all those, hundreds of hours of thousands of hours of content that I've watched. I just give them what they need. And so you can be the reporter simply by sharing what you're passionate about, what you are already consuming, but make it valuable for them because you're saving people time.
I think that's a really interesting angle, that you to be a voice. We probably actually consume, or I certainly know now, you say the reporter, I actually consume a lot of the intermediary people that are bringing the very highest level of knowledge down to be accessible. So I think you make a point there that it's actually making a lot of content easily accessible for people. So there might be some very high level, or there might be you've read 5 different marketing books on a similar topic. Well, is how can you make that into a system that people can follow, that makes it easy for them to consume? Because by the time you've read 5 marketing books, you're looking at 25 to 30 hours of content probably, and that's a long time. But if you can lay a section of something someone wants to achieve out into a step-by-step process, that's actually a lot easier to follow than having to assimilate it from all these places at once. And one thing I'm interested in is that you very much have family as a core, something that's really important to you. And it sounds like you've always had that stability in a way because you've had the right jobs that you were told to get from almost school onwards. Yeah,
Mm.
there's been some moments where you've had points where you're like, this isn't right for me, or you've had the moments you lose your job and find a new job in 2 weeks.
Mm-hmm.
But when you start telling people, maybe outside of your wife and kids, hey, I'm doing this new entrepreneurship thing. I'm doing this new business. I'm launching my program to help others go from zero to launch.
Mm.
What are people's reactions? Because they've known you as an engineer for 20 years. They know who you are.
Well, I actually saw a really interesting quote on online. Maybe it's Alex Hormozy. He's actually said, your close friends and family are probably not going to be your biggest supporter when you start a new business. And this is a big punch to the face, right? Those are the people we hope would support us. But that is true, because exactly as you said, they're used to seeing you in a certain identity. And the moment that you change, it makes them uncomfortable. And it also makes them question what they're doing as well, right? So I haven't been telling, my close friends, I guess my immediate family knows, but as you know, we're part of the Primal Men Project men's community, and this is where I tell a lot about what I do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you are better off go to the people who you can help, who are part of your like-minded community, and get support from there.
Yeah. Okay.
Because your friends and family, they haven't done the work, they haven't been on the journey with you, they're comfortable seeing you in a certain way, and the moment you change, you make them uncomfortable.
Yes.
Yeah. And they'll tell you, what are you doing this for? All right. Why are you doing this? Your life is so good. And I've struggled with my mum over the years with that. I remember when we first getting the cafe, and she almost got really hysterical. Why would you give up your engineering career to do this? And we had a big argument. And I guess that was one of the things that stuck with me, and something that I have to work through. People not believing in me when I start my entrepreneurship career.
Mm.
Yeah, that this we talked about mother wounds and wanting love and support from my mom. She certainly didn't give it to me when when I wanted to go down this entrepreneur path. But she has changed now. All right, she has. I think she's been on her journey as well, and part of it, she's also made friends who are business people who are older, and she does see the difference of what can happen when you have built a business and you have that as an asset rather than just depending on a job. So she is supportive. She is supportive now, but when we first got started, it was so hard.
Yeah, I bet. And it's almost the not wanting to tell people as you're doing it. It's more showing people that final result of it's now here, it's now working.
Yeah.
There's certainly maybe in some businesses or some work, there's those first few months of not quite having it all together, it not being quite right. I know your program is 30 days. Is even the transformation in 30 days, I think it's a lot better to show people the outcome
Yeah, that's
versus,
right.
hey, I'm doing the thing.
Yep. There was not a school of thought that you have big plans, big visions. You don't actually supposed to share it with people, right? Because most people can't. Most people haven't seen your vision,
Yeah.
and big vision actually scared them. And their natural reaction is to bring you back down to their level. And this is not good for you, especially when you're starting out, when you need that self-belief to keep going when everything is not really working, and when you try everything, but you just have to keep going, right, until you find the thing that works.
Yeah.
It's so important that you maintain that self-belief from the beginning, and the people closest to you are not going to be the one to see it. And as you say, show it to them when you have some success. That's when they'll all want to be part of it, once you have some success.
Yeah, it is. And I have a very similar journey of, especially the closer people around me in the early days. They wanted me to have safe jobs, safe worlds, safe everything. But ironically, it's creating the business that is successful has created the safety over the years.
Yeah.
And I think now people around me, they respect me for creating that. But it's even certainly when I was younger in my 20s and I didn't have a family to look after, is friends who were also in my 20s said, just come out, just come and have fun, come and play, come and do this, come and do that. But now, 9 years later, they're all very respectful of the company I have created. That's actually a really nice feeling to hear. And it sounds like your mum has sort of come around on that one as well.
Yeah.
And something you've mentioned a few times now is you're not really just focused on helping people create a business, but really it's the purpose-driven business.
Yes.
And so what's so important to you about having a purpose-driven business versus just a business?
Yes, it's a very good question. Well, for the first part of my career, after university, I've just didn't have a purpose. It was just about earning money and doing whatever I can to get the highest salary. And I guess it's a reaction to that that's made purpose so important, what I do right now. It's also, even when I first started the online business, the money was the focus. I wanted to replace my 9 to 5 and have stability. And after a while, I just got stuck. I couldn't progress any further. It was because I was focused on making money, or rather, why am I not making enough money? Right, that was keeping me stuck, and I experienced burnt out.
Yeah.
Because of that. And we've been through a similar course in the Primal Man project called The Path, which was helping to really, really figure out what is your purpose. And it was until after that I really got a new drive, and because now it wasn't just about survival. It wasn't just about me. It was now contribution and making a difference to people around me, to community, and to the world. And being able to see that I'm part of the bigger whole is what drives me. And that's actually where I came from. During university, I was part of a student organization, and it was all about it was all about world peace and making the world a better place. And I've always had that in me. But once you leave university and you grow up and real life happens, you need to be an adult and pay the bills. You sort of forget about that. And when I connect to my purpose again, I realized, hey, it was always part of me. It was always important to me to be doing something bigger than just making money. Not to say making money is not important. There's an important distinction, which we will cover in a little bit, but the purpose side is what is going to make this world a better place. Pursuing money alone will make people do things that's going to be detrimental and negative to society, to other people. So I believe that everybody needs to get connected to their purpose. And yeah.
And so is that something where, certainly my experience in my early 20s, same thing, just how do I make money, whatever money is, because that's what we've been told, or so much of how I understood my childhood. Now, we could probably go into endless amounts of depth on the school system and does it teach you about money or how to be a good worker and that initial early stage. But I think it's when, when people get into the world and they're working their corporate job is, as you said, after a bit, there's signs like burnout that showed up. Is there any other signs that really showed up to you?
Another one is apathy is a big one. It's like, why should I care about that? I just look after myself because they just don't care anymore. The other one is resentment. It's like you just start to hate other people. Yeah. But actually all of these things has helped me formed what I call the 5 levels of purpose. And I think it's different for different people. When we look at popular media, it may be a portrayal of what purpose looks like. You gotta have world peace, you gotta help other people, you're gonna do these grand things. But what I really realized is that your purpose is different depending on what life stage you're in.
Yeah, okay. So let's jump in there and I'll sort of unpack that a bit. So I guess there's a lot of companies out there that say they're mission driven. Pretty much every company has a mission. And every lots of sort of entrepreneurs have a mission. But what's the difference between mission driven and purpose driven, and how are you building that purpose or how does someone find that purpose driven side of themselves?
Yeah. I believe the first thing is you need to know who you are and what you stand for, and also where you're at.
Yeah, okay.
My first level in my model, the first level of purpose is survival. You need to be able to stand on your own 2 feet, be self-reliant, and not be a burden to society. So on an individual level, you need to be able to generate income, pay your bills, put up your food over, have food, lodging over your head, provide for your family. Right? That's the first thing. And that is a purpose. When you're at that level, that's what you should be concentrating on. And similarly, as a business, when you start a business, you need to be able to survive. You need to be able to make money, to be able to pay, break even, pay your employees, pay your suppliers, generate, financing for your investors. You need to be able to do that. So making money at that point is important and is the purpose. But what happened is once you get there, if you do not ascend to the next level, you're going to be unfulfilled. It's not going to give you meaning anymore if you stay at that level. The next level for me is status. Status is when after you survive, you now can enjoy the nice things in the world. So for an individual, it's to get that nice car, it's to get the nice house and to go on the holidays, give your kids good schools. I think that is a purpose when you're at that level. And I know that goes against a lot of counter to what people say should be purpose. Oh, no, you shouldn't be so materialistic. But I think for somebody who has got through the survival stage, absolutely, you should enjoy what you have created.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. And again, if you stay there, you're going to be unfulfilled,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not going to find meaning. And that is why you need to move on to the next level. In my model, the next level is creativity. Creativity is about now bringing your own voice out. You don't care about impressing other people anymore, right?
Yeah.
Now it's about what do I like? What do I want to create? What if I were to make a movie about myself? What would it be? What would my version of art beauty look like?
Yeah.
Yeah, and that's important. That self-expression.
Yeah.
This is where people share their life lessons, purely to bring it out and express themselves.
Yep.
And then the next level is then what's the use of all of this if you're not actually helping people? The next level is contribution. And this is where you now use everything that you have to be able to make a positive impact on the people around you, your community, and the world. And it is here you get the most fulfillment and meaning in what you do.
Yep.
So that's the 4 levels of 4 levels so far, going to
Yep.
survival, status, creativity, and contribution. And I'll finish off what's the last step in my model. What's the highest level? I actually learned about this spending the last few months and 2 weeks with my dad as he was finishing, ending his life, which he passed away this year. And so I was in this whole, I need to contribute and create meaning in the world. That time I saw my parents, they were going on all these cruises and holidays, and it's almost like a job now. They've been on so many. I was I was like nudging them, you need to find a cause you're passionate about and actually do it. And it was just not getting anywhere, right? I could see that, yes, they were enjoying the status. Yes, but for my dad, he's done it, and it was, especially when illness took over, it was time to just let it go. It was to be okay that when you pass, things will be all right. You've done all you can. You've done all the contribution, but now there's nothing more you can do, and the only thing you can do is accept what's going to happen next. And this final level is peace.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, peace, accepting that everything will be okay no matter what happens next. And for the people who are going to the next stage, that is your purpose. It's finding peace. I would argue, if you find peace, then it makes everything else redundant.
Yes.
So ultimately, the purpose is peace.
Wow. That I didn't. That's a very powerful model. Haven't looked at purpose from those 5 angles.
Yeah.
And that's a very powerful realization. Thank you for sharing how you got to that last realization. It sounds like quite a something very confronting to find that as well. And
no, I truly believe we go through all the experiences in order to fulfill what comes next, to prepare us for what comes next. And one of the things I got a little bit annoyed about with all the influencers online, they talk about, you gotta you it's more to making money and all these materialistic things doesn't matter, all of these things. But you can't tell people that. Now, for a man who is providing for his family, he's in survival. That is his purpose, and he needs he absolutely needs to focus on that. It's not focusing on contribution, because if you can't look after yourself, if you can't look after your family, you can't help anybody else, right?
Yeah.
So
That's a
mm,
fascinating angle that you raised, that
mm,
actually so many people in corporate and so many people in the world are actually just in the survival stage of money to create safety somehow.
mm. And my message to those people is that is your purpose,
Yeah.
right? And it's absolutely okay, despite what everybody's telling you you should be doing. You should be starting companies. You should be, you know, uh, changing the world and all of that. No, looking, sorting yourself out, providing for your family, get back on your feet. That is your purpose.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's when you have that security in place that you can
Mm,
consider, I guess, high levels of purpose from what you've said.
mm,
And with that, if people are out there thinking, I just want to create a business and it just needs to make money,
hmm
what happens and what does happen to both business and people if they're creating a business without purpose?
mm. Yeah, look, I think at the start, if you can make business is so hard, right? If you can make money selling something to someone who's prepared to pay for it, whether you know it or not, you have a purpose,
Yep.
right? Even somebody, anyone, any examples, someone who is making a cup of coffee, somebody who is selling clothes or shoes, um, anything, right? Selling massage services, for whatever, you are providing something of value because somebody has paid for it.
Mm,
Again, right, it becomes your awareness and how and whether you're making this a focus or are you just focusing on money. When you have finished survival and you're going to go to the next stage, then you need to start looking at, okay, what can I do? It's not just about making money now, right? Moving into status is, how do I make this product even better, a premium one, the best in its category, right? Once you've done that, it's like, oh, can I innovate and create something new? And then after that, can I use the profits I'm generating to make a positive impact in society? So I think that model works really well. And it just shows you do need to survive and you do need to make money. And
mm,
lots of people who start businesses have these big grand ideas, but if you can't make money doing it, well, it's not to say you make money straight away, but you need to create a product, put it in the marketplace, have a price, and see if people pay for it. And if people don't pay for it, usually it's you're solving a problem that doesn't exist,
yep.
or you're not saying it right. You're not
Yep.
communicating your offer right. So those are the two biggest problems when people are not paying for your service.
Yeah. And I think that's a fascinating one about making enough money from it is there's a very popular culture of side hustles.
Mm,
And my personal views are, why create a side hustle when you could create a whole business out of it? And I wonder with people in corporate and um, I find it very hard to put my resources towards something that I don't see becoming a business that is really going to stand on its own legs versus a side hustle.
hmm
So, what are your thoughts on the side hustle kind
mm.
of versus creating a full business culture that is around in the world today?
Again, it depends what stage of life you're at. If you are just starting out, you got no family, you got no people depending on you. Hey, go straight into building something.
Yeah.
Right? You have that. You have time. You can fail. You can learn from that. But for a typical, let's say, who I'm working with as a man in corporate, they have family. I don't think just quitting everything I've done that,
Yeah.
right? Quitting everything and go all in, that's going to be the most responsible thing to do. Because if you can't look after yourself, how long can you actually sustain this business?
Yeah.
Not to say it can't be done, and there are people who have done it. Personally, I actually have a value of security. It may be it's helpful or not helpful for me in this entrepreneurial journey. But so my personal way is you start off with a side hustle, at least to test your idea,
Yeah.
validate it in the marketplace by creating what I call a minimum viable product, something not fully built out, but enough to add value to the customers, and you put it in front of them and see if they buy.
Yeah.
Yeah. At least you did that. And also the other thing is you get a chance to do this business and see whether you actually like it or not. Right. The funny story with my cafe was it wasn't actually mine. It was supporting my sister to do it. And when I told Amy, my wife, hey, I bought this cafe, and her first thing she said to me was, you don't drink coffee. You don't go out for fine dining. You don't listen to music. You don't actually drink that much. Why did you buy this business? All right. And she also said, which I may have heard it and it may have gone on the other ear, as that's often do in marriages. He said, you know, why don't you just get a job, work in a cafe, and see whether you like it or not?
Yeah.
I'll tell you, if I actually did that, I would have said, there's no fucking way I'm going to be buying a cafe and a bar, right? So it's funny looking at it now. But actually, after the first day I took over that cafe, it was past midnight and we're just putting money into till. I was like, fuck, what did I get myself into? So that's why you shouldn't go all out straight away. You should have a side hustle, create what you think is a good idea, validate it, and see whether people will buy it. See whether you actually like it and can actually provide value.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's actually an interesting point, is you went into that business that was completely not really aligned with you by the sound of it.
No.
It was literally a theoretical, it makes money thing.
Yes, that was totally devoid of my purpose. That was another thing that I learned. At that time, I could have I was past survival mode, right? Because I had a job I could have just got another job that would have, as an engineer, that could have, take care of myself. I wanted, I guess I don't know did I want it. It's probably status that I wanted. I liked the idea of being an entrepreneur.
Yeah, yeah.
I read all these books and Richard Branson and Bill Gates and Steve Jobs and everything, and I just like the idea.
Yeah. Oh,
Yeah.
they look like, it's especially with influencer culture now. They look like they have a cool life.
Yeah.
I will do what they
Mm.
do, but obviously not have the knowledge or the alignment to potentially get to where they're going.
Yeah.
And I think that's interesting is, I guess you have experience working with people who, some people might have an idea of where they want to go already, and they're just looking for some guidance around that.
Yeah.
Or some people might be at that first stage, is, as you shared earlier, you've had a pivot point in your corporate career, and you know that what you want to get away from is the working corporate life. So how do you really help people find their purpose? Or do you have a process for helping people find their purpose that's,
Yes.
really hits their skills, their interests, what excites them? Is there a way that you bring that together, especially for people who don't know maybe what they actually want to do yet? They just know that corporate, they are over corporate.
Yes. Yeah. No, I do have a process, and it looks like this. It's called conversation with your younger self. I believe your purpose, it may not be the only purpose that you can be your purpose, but 80%, 90%, if you follow this path, you will find something meaningful and purposeful to do. The biggest problem that you have overcome is your purpose? And sharing that with your younger self is the way to uncover it. So I take people through a process. Imagine you could travel back in time and you are able to visit yourself. It could be 3 years ago, 5 years ago, 10 years ago. And you're able to have spend an hour with your younger self. What would you share with your younger self? What sort of experiences, what's wisdom, what sort of knowledge would you share, and to help them avoid the potholes that are coming up in their life and to get things faster? Another thing that happens, you see in influencer culture is like, oh no, I would never change a thing in my life. Everything has happened to me, has made me who I am. So no, I would not change anything. Right? I think it's bullshit, right? If I could go back in time and if I could share knowledge about, hey, just spend a couple of years in corporate and then have a go at business, do it. If I could share what I know now about relationships and how to talk and behave and lead in a relationship, that's one thing that I would definitely do. That would make such a big difference in how I my marriage, and it would have saved me years and years of heartache.
Yeah.
If I started my health journey, I only started my CrossFit like 3 years ago, and it's made an incredible difference to my health and how I look at how it's probably made a massive shift in how I'm going to age into the next few decades of my life.
Yeah.
If I started 10 years ago, what would be different? The fact is, if you could go back to your younger self, you would have saved yourself so much years of heartache, and you would have got to your next level so much faster. I absolutely want that. But we can't go back in time. So that's why we said, yeah, everything has led me to today, enabled me to do the work that I'm today.
Yeah. And that can create the basis of the company. So it sounds like it's the big shift points in your life where if only you'd had that thing when you were a kid, that's almost the purpose that you can create into a business today.
Yes. And the clients that I'm working with, Tim, he's been on your podcast here. His thing is parenting and how to create meaningful connections with your kids. Right. That is born out of his pain. Josh is another one. He's in addiction coaching, helping more tradies to overcome alcohol and drug addiction. Again, that was born out of his pain and his journey to overcome that. Yeah, I can list all of that. Right. The other guy, another person I'm working with, Rahul. He wants to develop this technology where you can scan. He's an engineer in manufacturing, like a 3D scanner where you can scan a spare part and turn it into 3D model, into engineering drawings, and you can fabricate it. And he wants to digitize that whole process so you can scan it and then it arrives at your door. Right. Again, that may not be a personal pain. It was a pain he experienced in the workplace where I really needed this critical part. I couldn't get it. That means my factory, my process has experienced a downtime of several weeks and costing whatever amount of money. Right. So that's a couple of examples, going back and looking at your younger self. What problems did you have? And what were the steps you took to solve it?
Yeah.
That would be my sort of like a hack. If you don't know what your purpose is, just think about what are the biggest problems you overcome and how did you overcome it, and use that as a starting point to create a product.
Yeah. And I think that's that's actually a very simple way to think about it. I think purpose can be overcomplicated almost,
Mm,
but that seems such a simple way to look at how do I find my
mm,
purpose.
mm,
And purpose is awesome. We've talked about purpose, in quite a lot of depth now, and you shared your steps on how to get there.
mm,
But when men, and I know you mainly work with men or specifically work with men,
mm,
when men are moving from that, I should go and do something or I should go and do something that's not corporate, or I should go and do something that is aligned with my purpose, and
mm.
then move to I want to do that, and they're in the I'm now doing this. Are there any business models that you really favor and
Mm.
really find a lot of men have success with?
Yeah. Well, I can share how not to do it. One of the things, I guess when I was having this entrepreneur, startup founder type, I want to be that. One of the places I went into was the Brisbane tech startup community. I joined an organization it was a meetup called Brisbane AI. And we went into like a startup hub. And so everybody is trying to build the next Facebook, the next Uber, and they wanted to create this software company to create the next app, want to raise capital and become the next Steve Jobs, Mark Zuckerberg, or Elon Musk, right? And actually, I think that's not a very good way to do it,
Yeah,
because you try to build something so complicated. You need something that require a lot of startup capital, and it takes such a long time to um, create a product and bring it to market. And I also see that as very irresponsible. How much capital these startup companies burn through
yeah,
in order to get innovation. Maybe that's what's required, right? Maybe that's what's required. You just have to waste a bunch of money, and 1 in 10 is going to be a unicorn,
yeah.
right?
Well, I think it's fascinating that everyone thinks Elon Musk is, the owner of Tesla and he is amazing. I respect him hugely,
Mm,
but he only owns, 10% or so of Tesla because he had to give so much away to other financing.
mm. But that's fine. That's okay, right? But it depends on how big you want to go, right?
Yep.
The truth is, not everybody can be Elon Musk.
Hmm.
That is the truth. If you want to be, you can. It comes at great sacrifice to be able to do that. It also comes with a few, talent and experience and people you're around. All of those things makes a difference too. But for the average person who is in corporate, I think the best way to do it is through an online business. An online business, specifically an online coaching business.
Yep.
What is coaching? Coaching is just you sharing knowledge and experience that you already know. Um, it's not a book, because writing a book takes a long time. It's not building an app. It's not even building a course, because building an online course takes a lot of time. And I did try to do that. I tried to build a job search course. I tried to build a storytelling for career change course. It took months. But a coaching program it can be as simple as having a conversation with somebody with a problem and just talking through what they should do next.
Yeah.
You don't need a fancy software. Um, you can do it on a phone. You could just do it face to face if required. It's just an exchange of knowledge. And this coaching program is, I would say, it's a online coaching one-on-one.
Yep.
Because you're doing one-on-one, you can give them the attention. You can be flexible in your approach. You can try different things to help them solve a specific problem. So this online coaching one-on-one is something that you can literally start right away. You just need to have a pitch and say, I help people like you solve this problem to go from pain to the promise using this process, this method.
Yep.
Would you work with me to get this outcome for $1,000?
Yep.
Yes or no? Literally, that's all you need to get started in your business, that little pitch. And if they said yes, awesome, right? You now know people are prepared to pay you $1,000 to solve that problem. Now go and build it.
Yeah.
You get cash flow. Most importantly, you get validation that it is a problem that people are willing to pay you to solve.
Mm-hmm.
Not something that you just made up in your head or you're guessing. And the other benefit of this is this online one-to-one. It's not something you can scale, but you need to do this at the start in order to validate it.
Yeah.
So that is the model that I take my clients through. I get them to pick a problem that they have overcome in the past. I get them to think about how they've done it. And also, it doesn't need to be how they've done it. It's maybe they can take a course to see how other people have done it and model their process.
Mm-hmm.
And then package it up into this online one-on-one coaching program and get them to make a pitch.
Yeah. And that's something you believe can be done, quick, as you're saying, quickly. You're not having to build something for years and years and years. It's something that can be done over, I think you've had people go through your course in 7 days, or you've also made it slightly longer, up to 30 days. You think people in a month can basically go through that process?
I think people absolutely in a month can go through this process. It's almost forced upon me. The people that I work with, the men, corporate, who has family, they just don't have time to do anything. Even 30 days is a stretch. And the other thing is we have, but men in particular, is that we have this shiny object syndrome, right? All these really cool stuff we want to do, and we want to start all of these things. We want to learn, take all these courses. And everyone I talk to are doing multiple things and in multiple courses and communities. Just don't have the time. Time is the biggest commodity. So it's actually helped because it's forced me to come to this model.
Yeah.
When you get started, just do a one-on-one, coach them through and get what I call a mini transformation. That way they actually build trust with you and also build trust with themselves. And that primes them to buy whatever you have to offer next.
And so you look at the business model, it's have that one-on-one time, and then that can lead to something else along the line. But the one-on-one is the super easy, get started very easily in that. And in that, you mentioned the steps of the framework you go through. Can you just lay out super simply, when people are going from basically nothing in terms of they want to build a side hustle, they want to build the business that's going to take them beyond their corporate world into something that they're doing on their purpose? What is that super simple framework that you follow?
Yeah, it's called Zero to Launch. The first mistake people make when they want to start a business is that they get obsessed over the product that they want to build. It can be an app, it can be a event, it can be retreat, it can be also these things, right? They focus on this whatever gadget that they want and they believe is really cool. But a product is simply a vehicle to deliver a solution. It can be anything. You could consume the solution in multiple different products. So it makes no sense to focus, to get obsessed over a product. I get it. A product is tangible. You can see it. You can touch it. You can experience it. But what people should focus on is the people. Who are they trying to help? And the problem. What are they trying to solve? What problem are they trying to solve?
Mm.
So that's the first thing I get people to get very clear on: the people, the problem, and also the process, which is how you solve the problem. So they could have a process that they use themselves to solve it, or they have gone through a course and they like that process, so they can adopt it and make it their own. So this is what I call the niche. So getting clear on the people, process, people, problem, process. Who, what, and why. And that becomes your business niche.
Yep.
The second thing we covered already, it's you need to have an offer to bring to the marketplace. And I believe as you're starting out, the best thing to do is the one-on-one online coaching program. So what I do is I've already given them a product. So whatever thing that they thought they wanted to do, I said, do this first.
Yep.
Yeah. Go and find people who are willing to pay you $1,000 to solve this problem.
Yeah.
One thing I didn't say before was if it's a yes, great, continue building. If it's a no, it is just as valuable, right? Because no is just a data point. It's feedback from the market that what you have isn't quite what they're looking for. So this opens up the opportunity to ask the question: what would make this a yes? Where's the gap? So you got this problem. I got the solution, but you didn't buy. What would I need to include in this solution to make this a yes for you?
Yeah.
Then you shut your mouth and you listen. And what they'll tell you is exactly what you need to include in your offer to make that a yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Once you have got people buying, then you want to do it several times so you have data point. So I will get people to repeat this process and get their first 3 clients, first 5 to 10. Just repeat this process and look at what is the common point between all of this, people saying yes to your offer.
Mm.
Once you do that, then you can use this data point to create then your core offer. And then bring that out into the world. So that is the simple process that I use.
That's a very nice, simple step by step. I think to start a business, people complicate it, but you've got a way of creating the product and getting validation super easily. And I know something else that is sort of part of that or is built in is how to initially get the very early word out about the product, potentially in a story form, and how to package the initial message to get it out there. So is there anything you do or any experience you have in terms of creating a story that people to get those first couple of clients?
Yeah, look, it's your own story, right? Your own story, your origin story of how you overcame that problem, told to cater for the person that is at that similar stage. So an origin story is not a story about your entire life history. It is about the time when you first experienced the problem. What did you do to overcome the thing that was keeping you stuck, and how did you get to the promise point? So that is the most valuable asset that you have to get people initially interested in what you do.
Yeah.
And in terms of getting it out, getting the word out, I have people actually because unless you have a big social media following, it's really hard to get attention from social media. So that's why I go to back to this one-on-one thing. You just make a list of people who are close to you. And by this time, you have a product now, so you can tell them about it, and have them create an elevator pitch, which is just a simple, a 2-3 sentence. What is it that you do? Really around who do you help, what problem you solve, what's the pain to promise statement, and then a little bit about your process. You tell them the elevator pitch. The elevator pitch is not designed for you to tell them, tell them everything, all right? Download everything. It's just enough to generate interest and curiosity. And what you're looking for is having them tell you, looking for this phrase, interesting, tell me more.
Yeah, okay.
And it's just about starting that conversation. I think a mistake that I've used to do is thinking I need to have the whole script ready to deliver. Really, it's a conversation, right? It's about telling what is it that you built, and then asking a question to get that feedback, and then sort of retelling your story or the pitch or the elevator pitch in terms of what that you've learned, what you have learned that is important to the person you're talking to. Yeah. So, yep.
I think that with that, you've actually divided the product creation and the marketing of the scaling of the product actually separately. So you're not having to become an expert marketer or an expert storyteller right up front to start a business.
No.
You're really focused on the two sections: is creating the product, getting initial validation, and then the marketing. So I think it's actually quite nice. There's not as much pressure to go and get it right on day one.
No.
Because I think everyone thinks marketing is this magical thing that only a few people can do. That I do think there's an element to truth to that, but it's not easier when you've worked on your purpose and getting the right product in place to talk about the marketing without having to do that on day one. So are there any other things that sort of paralyze people and stop people getting into business and getting, in their corporate jobs? They're in it, they know they want to change potentially, but what stops people from leaving that paralyzes them almost?
Look, when we go into business, we want to succeed, right? And what's keeping us stuck is we're fear of failure, fear of doing the wrong thing, fear of spending money on the wrong course or wrong product, and then just wasting time and then falling behind. Falling behind who? It's this mythical perfect person that got it all together, right? So they don't want to fail in public. So they convince themselves, I need to do more courses. I need to tinker more with my product. And I just need to do it right before I launch. The truth is, you never really know what is good until you launch and get feedback. And that's what I get my clients to do, is to launch as quickly as you can. You don't need to launch in public. You only need to launch to that one person who you're trying to help. And when you do that, it's still a little bit scary. We need to get over it, because we are all scared of rejection. We also scared of selling too. We always have we all have an experience of a pushy salesperson trying to get us to buy stuff, right? We don't want to be that guy.
Yeah.
And we're scared of just people reacting in a negative way when you make a pitch. We all want acceptance. So learning how to reframe that selling experience is an important thing to do to get started. Seeing failure as just a data point, seeing you need to go through all these failures in order to get success. Imagine if you knew that you need to get 9 no's before you get a yes, and each yes is going to be $1,000, right? You would want to just get through your 9 no's so you can get to the 10s, right? So the no's wouldn't even worry you because you know that the yes is on the other side. And I think for a lot of men, especially in corporate, it's very difficult because when things are not perfect, we get punished for it.
Interesting. That's an interesting point between in corporate, you get punished for saying no or getting things wrong.
And in corporate, there's this thing called perception management, right? You got to manage how people see you. And this leads to a lot of toxic culture that we see. People unwilling to take responsibility, always trying to cover their own ass, not wanting to get in trouble, and not willing to make the unpopular call, but and take what is necessary. But when you go into entrepreneurship, there's no one there to cover for you, right? It's you. You need to get to the truth pretty quickly. The longer you pretend, the worse it's going to get for you. So if your idea is not that good, you want to find out as quickly as you can. So just launch it quickly and find out and learn and pivot as quickly as you can.
Yeah, and there's something that I actually love about the online world is if your idea is no good or you might approach people with your product as part of your formula. If it's no good, it'll get no traction on social media or people will say no. And then you just change it. And no one, 99% of people in the world never knew you even came up with that bad idea in the first place.
Yeah, so much noise, right? The chance that they saw your first thing is like, well, if they did see it, they probably forgot about it, right?
Yeah.
And if they remember it, you can use it. You can have a spin to make it in some sort of a story, right? For content.
Yeah, it becomes its own asset in its own way. And there's something that you've mentioned is that story actually becomes an asset when it really gets to the marketing stage and when you're looking to go from zero to launch of your product and get out of corporate or any zero to launch. Is you say asset, it's so important. But why do you think story is so important? What makes it so important?
Yeah, look, I see a lot of things that's going online now. It's like, oh yeah, you can make money. You don't have to show your face. This faceless Instagram account, and you can just go and do it, right? I look at it as like, yeah, okay, they're probably making money, so who cares? If they're making money, they're going to survive on my, who cares, right? But I think it's a lost opportunity because your story is unique. There's nothing like it. There's no combination of a lifetime of experience that you've gone through. You're not going to have someone who is exactly like you, right? So being unique, that becomes a brand for you, and no one can really copy your story, right?
Yeah.
Well, they can try, but it will come across very inauthentic. But your story is your own, and that's your way of creating something that's original. Especially in this world of AI now, where you can just generating ideas on tap, right? But is it real? Depending on the training data. But what you often get is a lot of AI slop. All right, things that lots of content, but is it any good? is it real? But your own story, it's real because you've gone through it.
Yeah, and I can actually give a really simple example of that is for my business, Oh Crap, is that we created our values and what we stand for and our mission, and we also the partners that we work with, and we shared all of that stuff on our website, and we were and still are actually Australia's #1 dog poo bag. And we had a number of people copycat our company, and we had one pretty much copy and pasted onto their website. But because they hadn't uh, they hadn't got the same links with organizations we had, they hadn't gone through the research process. They obviously had to change just a few words. Even though they'd copied it almost word for word, they couldn't stand behind the fact they'd put 2 years research in. They couldn't quite stand behind they had this link to an organization. So when you read their website, it wasn't convincing.
Mm-hmm.
And they went out of business 18 months ago. It wasn't a shock. They even tried to copy our packaging and just the whole thing. They just basically got our product and went, hey, can we copy this? But because, at least they did the right thing and not say they didn't have things they had, but they tried to copy the way that we did it. It just didn't work at all. And so I think you're right, is that if we have our own purpose and our values, no one and our experiences, no one else can have had them to create a story out of it. So when, I still feel this today, is even though I've been living on this world for 38 years and have done all the things I've done and created a company that's been around for 8 years now, I still say, what's special about me? Yeah, I talk to other people and people are like, wow, you can help me with that. You can help me with that. You can help me with that. So how do you help people realize that they go from I'm not special, I have no story to, I understand what my story is. Is there some way that you help people identify that?
Yeah. Look, we all have a story, right? It's just whether we think it's good or whether it's important enough to tell. The problem with people who think they don't have a story is they think they need to be someone else. And that happened to me because I thought I needed to be this tech startup entrepreneur in Silicon Valley to be, any good at business.
Yeah.
I was trying to make other people's story, and like Steve Jobs or Bill Gates or Mark Zuckerberg. Oh, I quit college to start a business, and look where it's become. That's the narrative, right? For the tech startup. I didn't have that, and I thought I needed to be that. So I think my story is not that important to tell. The moment I realized my own story is my own superpower, and I'm not ashamed of my failures or my perceived failures, or which is just learning experience. The moment I did that, it's like I have a unique story. It's like, hey, I'm not a somebody who dropped out of university. I didn't go against the grain. I didn't do all of these things these tech startup did. Instead, I followed the rules. Right? I did everything that people told me to do. I built a career. I know what it's like to work in a real job, in a real company, doing a real job like engineering and building things, and I know what it's like. But now I'm an entrepreneur, right? I can. All of those things have shaped me to what I'm doing today. So, if you are somebody who's looking to build a business, this is what I'm doing. Now, the second thing is they're trying to, if they don't think their story is worth telling, is that they're trying to tell the story to the mass media, to everyone, and that's why you compare yourself to all these well-known people. But now, instead of, I'm not trying to tell my entrepreneurial story to everyone, I'm trying to tell my story to my target audience, which is other corporate people who are looking at doing something different, all of a sudden, my story becomes very relevant and relatable, right? If I tell Bill Gates' story to somebody who's looking at doing a side hustle or starting something new, it's totally not relatable.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not going to quit my university that my parents came over to new country to give me that opportunities. I'm not going to do that. That's not me. The moment you talk to your own people, your story becomes relevant, relatable, and it becomes the thing that's going to get people to attract your people to you. So what I recommend people is to get them to see that your story matters, is original. Nobody's like it. Stop trying to be somebody else that you're not, and stop trying to market to everyone. Figure out who you're trying to help. And usually I default to your younger self. Your younger self will certainly be interested in the story that you walk through, because they want to know what happened and how you did it. So,
And I think do you think there's a fine line between sharing too much and being too honest and too vulnerable? Or do you think that you should just be, honest, vulnerable, and that's sort of required is to lay it all out on the table?
I don't think you can be too honest. I don't think you can share too much. But I think you can share the wrong stuff.
Okay. Yeah.
Right. Because we have limited attention span, just like, you wouldn't tell your whole life story. You want to tell a story that's related to how you overcame a problem that your target audience care about. You want to be intentional in what you actually say. So if it's something that is not related, then you probably shouldn't say it. Right. If I'm talking mostly about, business stuff, if I go into, relationship stuff, and if it's related, okay. But if it's not, then people are going to say, why do you say it? Why would you use up, valuable time to share something that is not relevant? So I encourage people to share, go deep, because that's what's missing, right? Right now is depth. Anyone can just say anything. But for the people who care about you, long form podcasts like what you're doing now is what people go to, right? They want to go deep and really find out a lot more about your message. Yeah, you can say, you can share a lot of depth, a lot of deep stuff, but to the wrong audience, they just don't care. They just scroll away. So it's also discerning who you're talking to, and should you actually go to that level of depth. If they're not interested, then probably not. High level is good enough. But if people are leaning in and they really want to find out, go for it. And that's the way you build real deep connection and relationships.
And I think that's the idea of having potentially higher level stories than lower level, as you've just mentioned there, is that maybe you might catch some people. I don't know what your views on this, but there's that sort of idea in marketing of top of funnel content and middle of funnel is yes, you might have some stories that are the hook that gets people interested, but then you also might have those deeper stories that the people who've then found you might key into. And I think that's something. Is there anything that you're learning during this journey of creating and expanding now your Zero to Launch program? Is there anything that you're learning through that process around how to share your story and what you're sharing as well?
Yeah. What you really want is for your content to actually convert, right? You don't want to just say anything. You want, ultimate goal is to get people to click through and find out more and ultimately buy what you have to offer. So your content needs to be strategic. But, when you're starting out, just get content on there and be visible. If people are not, cannot find you, they can't buy from you. So especially the people starting out, I'd just say, hey, if you posted something, that's a win. Just keep doing it. The next step, then you can be strategic. Then after that, you can make things better. But don't try to make gold standard. Compare yourself with somebody who's been doing it for years straight off the bat, because you're just going to burn out and overwhelm. So yeah, just learning this, knowing, whether you're starting, whether you should be strategic, or whether you're going to sexy it up and make it really good content. The other thing I've learning is I tend to be long-winded. And I think it comes from corporate, right? You have to over-explain yourself why you do things to manage perception. So that's not so good, especially for the top of funnel or for cold traffic, people who don't know who you are.
Yeah.
So you have to make very short form content to get those people. So resist the urge to say too much. You only really have 15 to 45 seconds type content. The longer one, you can keep it like in a YouTube channel or something that people can come and click through to find you. But on social media, definitely need to focus on attracting their attention. So your hooks are important, but most importantly, also it needs to be short and you're able to consume it.
Yeah. And I'm going to ask you a very, very direct question now. Is you are documenting this process and you are sharing with people how they can do it with them for themselves. But what really makes you the man to lead this zero to launch movement that you have created and you're currently growing as well? What makes you that? What gives you the right to stand there and be this man?
Yeah, very good question. So I'm going to say I'm not a guru. I haven't made millions of dollars online. So, and there's plenty of people if you want to go with them. But what I am is somebody on the journey. I'm only a couple of chapters ahead of you. The gurus, they've solved these problems decades ago. That what you're trying to solve. I probably solved the problem that's keeping you stuck a couple of weeks, a few months ago. So it's still very fresh in my mind, and I can definitely understand what you're going through. And I am, and I'm certainly don't want to rush you through this process like what the gurus want to do. I'm saying this is very simple. I understand how hard it is because I just overcame it. So that's number one, right? I'm just a couple of chapters ahead, and I can get you. I understand the problem you're going through that's keeping you stuck.
Yeah. The
second thing is, I really do believe in. There's this one thing I resonated to in one of my business coaching courses that I did, and I've adopted. And for people who come and work with me, I have this value of no man left behind. I don't play the numbers and try to burn through leads and just go focus on that. The people who come into my orbit, I spend a lot of time with them. If you show up, I'll show up for you. I'll help you get there. And I have maybe it's a capacity right now at the start of my journey to spend the time with people to really help them through this process, because I actually don't promise that I'll help you make millions of dollars, because I haven't done that. So I'm not going to promise you that I can get you there. But what I have done is that I have launched products in the online space. I've done it with the job search and career transition. And what I'm doing in this business coaching space is to help you, if you're someone who's thinking about an idea, helping you to take that first step and actually launch something and get your first 3 clients. So that's what I'm specialized in. Before you go and invest in those other courses, I help you have a product, because for a long time, I couldn't make use of all those expensive courses that I invested in, because I wasn't clear on on the problem I was solving. I wasn't clear on my niche. I couldn't make a decision. It was either no decision, or there's too many decisions, and I keep switching. So I understand that the game changes when you have this product and you're taking it through this process and have it validated. And it's just an incredible thrill to have something that you have created that is yours, and then that you can take and grow. So I'm passionate about this part of the journey.
Yeah, and I think that's a narrative I've heard a few times today, is you love seeing things come to life and you love helping others bring those things to life. And so it becomes very real, versus some of the, the gurus on YouTube or social media is you could look at some of their content as a bit aspirational if you're starting from zero, as that's where you really help people through. They solve the next step. You've got the zero to launch. That's where you are, and you're relatable because you're doing it right now. So
it is a very hard part of the market. But the sweet spot for most business coaches is, once someone has made 10K a month, or them have 100K a month, to scale to the next level, that's a lot. It's very easy to justify the investments. It's actually very easy because the clients are already motivated, and it's a very crowded market. What I've chosen to take on is really difficult, and a lot of people change their minds, that they're in a very difficult place, then often in a bit of survival mode. So I've decided to pick this niche and make that my thing, and get good at it, and be an authority in this space. So, and I'm very clear on who I'm working with. I'm also not interested in working with people who are wanting to get rich quick, like overnight. It is not. What I do is, what I work with people to create is their life's work. This is something that they've have thought about. They're tired of spending time following other people's rules. They've got something they want to create, and they want to spend the rest of their life to create. So that is why I do spend a bit more time, longer time, to ensure that this is something that is going to be sustainable, but at the same time aligned with their values and the life they want to create and the impact they want to see in the world.
And I very much know you as a people person. You connect with people and are very interested about people as well. So I think being able to go deep and work on one-on-one, and you give as much as you get from people, I've seen that over the years with you as well, that's what you do and who you are. And I think spending that time, that you're living the journey of transitioning from corporate to a full-time business through the side hustle avenue, I guess we could say at this point during the podcast, is what does an average day look like for you while you're still in the corporate world?
Yeah, it's hard. I do have a corporate job, and so one thing I did in my job is that I'm not chasing the next promotion anymore. That was very freeing for me. So I'm doing a job where I've done it for 20 years and I know what to do, and it's not a big stress for me. So that creates sort of capacity for me to focus on my purpose-driven business. Yes, I do some things during work time, and that is actually becoming a constraint now. I do need to. I have spent the time building my business to this point, but yeah, there's work during the day. The after work is when I do my work full time. Right, this is where I take my coaching calls. This is where I do my outreach calls. This is where I make my content. It's time is my constraint right now, and I am sacrificing balance in my life for this season to get, like you're launching a rocket. There's a lot of inertia to overcome, so I am spending that time. I know that it's taking a toll on my health. I know sleep is what I'm sacrificing.
Yeah.
But it's not something I can do going long term going forward.
So with that and jumping in there is, it sounds like you do have an acceptance of, as you said, the rocket analogy. There's a lot of energy needed to launch the rocket, but it gets easier and easier the further it gets into space, let's say. How are you managing your energy? Is there something you're doing? It sounds like most days you're working very hard. Is there something you're doing maybe on a monthly basis? Are there things you're putting into to keep that energy sort of present and high energy and alive to be able to work on everything you want to?
Yeah, look, I truly believe in not just putting everything in one area of my life. I do enjoy spending time with my kids. I do spend time with my wife. I do have my gym routine sorted out. I do have hobbies. I used to play golf. I'm trying to get out there once a month. That's not quite happening. But I also started pickleball. I just came from pickleball. So just making sure all other parts of your life is taken care of. But this being my purpose-driven business, I do genuinely enjoy working on my business. It's not work for me. When I jump on a call with my clients and we're jamming about what they're going to build and sharing all those different strategies and process to help them get to the next stage, I genuinely enjoy it. Looking at consuming content, learning myself, I enjoy it. So that is why purpose is so important, because it makes it not work.
And are there any challenges that you found during that process where you're moving from corporate to a full-time purpose-driven business, and has purpose sort of kept you being able to keep going even when it's a bit harder?
Yeah, look, actually the biggest challenge is what I've experienced in the last couple of months where I did something about it, because I have such a I have a good job. I actually don't hate my job. My job is interesting, but just compared to if I put in my purpose-driven business, being my own boss and doing what I really want, it's just no comparison. But I don't hate my job, which again goes against a lot of narrative of people online, the influencers. Hate the job, leave the 9 to 5. It's I do like it, and it provides me a good lifestyle. But that is what keeping me stuck. And I've sort of treated my business as a hobby, and I wasn't very serious in it. Just like, back to that rocket analogy, you really need to put a lot into it to get it off the ground. And what I've done this month of November was I set it, and now in our men's group we set monthly goal. Our one thing, I set my one thing as a dollar figure in sales in my business, and I haven't really done that before, or rather I may have done it but not take it seriously. And I really went for it this month. I really went for it this month. I treated it as if I didn't have my job to back me up, and my back is against the wall. And if I had to pay the bills just from my business, I want to put myself in that artificial situation and really feel it and really take it seriously. And I did. And it's a simple thing as in having a list of leads and really go after and following up and making the pitch and then closing the deal and then collecting the money. Right? Which is bread and butter stuff for every entrepreneur and business owner. And I actually I did that. And every day I'll be looking at that list. Who's next? What do I need to do with this particular person? And I've exceeded my target for this month, and it's only halfway.
Yeah, we've got a few months to go, a few weeks to go on this one. That's awesome.
Yeah. So it just shows what happens when you really take it seriously and not just stay comfortable and just coasting, and which is what I've been doing. I've been trying to replace my 9-to-5 for the last 4 years. And it's really this month that I've really went hell for leather and go for it. So this has given me a whole lot of self-belief, and if I can make this numbers, hey, it's just doing more of it.
Yeah, and something I know when you set the goal is it was just realistic that you could get it.
Yeah.
But just enough of a stretch that it sounded like it had to sort of pull you out to take it, that next level of serious at the same time. That's probably, like a, hey, let's go do this scenario. So with that, what do you have to do to actually go and leave your side of corporate full time? And is that even the goal?
I do have different goals.
Yeah.
There is a part of me saying I'm actually also creating my dream job in my corporate job. So I'm in construction. My purpose in my job is to accelerate digital transformation in the construction industry. So I've created a job where in my job now, I don't do the engineering and project management anymore. I get to play with new technologies and figure out how to deploy it to the field. So I am creating a role where maybe next year I could make that my full-time role. So those things are in the work. So if that happens, then I need to make a decision. But if I were to be honest with myself, I do want to be full-time entrepreneur and doing this full-time. And it's probably because I need a different way of thinking to be able to leave my full-time job. I did one of the things we did in the men's group was like a audit of the people that are closest to us. And what I found from the exercise was, hey, I actually hang around mostly employees. Yeah, it's not surprising. I find it hard to leave this lifestyle because that's what people talk about. That's what people value, security. That's why I need to hang around more entrepreneurs. To be able to do that. So that's the one thing I need to do. I need to spend more time around business owners, entrepreneurs like yourself, where you just talk about different things, right? What is value for one person, like security, becomes becomes a disgust for an entrepreneur, right? It's like the fact that you have to listen to somebody else tell you what to do. That's not something you're not going to stand for.
Yeah.
Yeah. Not being able to, getting paid only by the hour. It's a non-negotiable for an entrepreneur. I want to go and make as much money as I can, proportionate to how smart my strategies are and the effort that I put in. Right. So those are the things I need to surround myself with to be able to do it. But I am positioning my product for the corporate guy. And the corporate man does value stability and security. So what I want to do is to show that it can be done. I want to earn 100K from my purpose-driven business as a side hustle while working full-time.
Yeah. Nice.
And
That's
then,
because that's your real life. That's your real life story happening in real time that others can relate to.
exactly. And that becomes the irresistible promise. If I say, I did this, do you want to find out how I did it? Do you want to find out how I made 100K while working full-time with a purpose-driven business that enabled me to eventually leave my 9-to-5 job responsibly without sacrificing my family's well-being lifestyle? I've done it. Do you want to find out how I did it?
Yep. Yeah. And let's move on to technology here, because I know you're big into tech. As you just said earlier, part of your role in your 9-to-5 is tech related and implementation. Let's talk AI.
Yeah. My favorite topic.
Yeah. Like, top level question, how do you see AI changing the engineering space, the entrepreneurship space, the everyday sort of individual space? What are your sort of big level views on that at the moment?
Yeah. I think it's going to take a long time for AI to become widespread in the construction industry. But when it happens, it'll happen very quickly. Why I say that is a lot of the AI is dependent on the training data, right? If you feed it rubbish, it's going to be rubbish coming out. And a lot of the data that is needed for AI in construction rests in the heads of the people who are near retiring.
Yeah.
They have the 30, 40 years, the tradesmen, and it's easy to do it's easy to have AI to take over white collar work. We almost had a bit of a flip around, everybody wanted an office job and move away from blue collar work. And now the white collar work is the easiest one to be replaced by AI.
Yeah.
Getting out there to do concrete, to be an electrician, to do the pipes, plumbing, getting a robot to do that, and it's difficult right now. But where we're going, that's where it will be. It's an event. It's inevitable. But right now, it's hard. And the thing with construction, if you get it wrong, you're gonna have big consequences. Bridges could fall down, things could explode. Whereas you wrote your marketing copy wrong with AI. Who cares, right?
You left one of those double length dashes in there. Yeah.
Just run it another time, right?
Yeah.
But if you try AI and you build something physical and you get it wrong, it's like, well, now you got this thing there. What are you going to do with it? How are you going to clean it up? So I think it's going to take a bit of time. But the companies that invest in this, when it happens, they're going to have a moat. They're going to have something that is going to be very hard to catch up.
Yeah. I think there's going to be, for the companies that get it right, there'll be exponential opportunities, and that will almost shut out people who are even a year to 2 years behind, because certainly in cost savings, there's going to be such a massive cost saving ability that you can go and quote a job or go and create something, and companies that just haven't implemented it properly, it won't even be the same conversation.
It won't be. No.
And I could talk about this in ecom as well, is the companies are going to be able to sell their products either for the same price or cheaper, because they don't need as many employees to do it. So anyone that isn't doing that is going to be priced out the market.
Yep, exactly. And that's what I'm advocating inside my company. I know we're not a leader in this space, and our competitors are doing more. So yeah, so that's what I'm actively doing inside the company, and I'm actually on the ground deploying these tools on a, not directly for the company, but in a JV, working with another partner. So I'm learning everything as I can. But it is hard, and when you start rolling it out, it looks like nothing is happening. You're just making things more complicated. It's just an additional step, and people just go back to their old habits. That's why I'm here. I'm playing the long game, and just prepare to walk away from being promoted to project manager, project director, to focus on this problem, which I care about. And when I focus on this, it's not really work for me. And there are people in the organization, in the industry, who are geeking out on this just like me, and I'm connecting with them, and we collaborate and try to do things together.
Yeah, and you mentioned it earlier, is that running your own business, you said it was better than doing a business MBA a million times over. With your example of the manager that walked out halfway through just to go to a concert, and the stuff that you can't make up. So doing business is the MBA for doing business. There's no way around it. So what how do you see it as, or is there anything you see as important about at least having a side hustle, even if that doesn't become your full-time thing, just to stay on top of all the AI, all the things that are coming out?
Yeah. So I get a lot of people in corporate, they're afraid of what AI is going to do to them. And my message to them is, starting your own business, start even better, a purpose-driven business, is the best way for you to learn AI, because you're going to have the opportunity to apply what you're learning into something tangible in your business. You have incentives to use it because it's going to make your life so much easier. For example, doing this online business, I use ChatGPT to create content and to create courses, and I will never go back, and it's able to bring together all the knowledge online and bring it all together. It's able to think of things that I never thought about before. And because I have a business and I'm trying to make money, I look for whatever can help me and do that faster and easier. And I would say just start a purpose-driven business, even though it's just a side hustle. It'll give you a great reason to learn AI.
Yeah. So even if you're worried about maybe your corporate world, just start a side business, because it's going to make you more valuable in corporate anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. They're only just starting to introduce Microsoft Copilot, for us. There's no training yet. There's no training products, but I've been using ChatGPT all this year. I can, the same principle applies. I can do the same thing inside Copilot. It's just more protected, and it's enterprise protected, so you can't protect your intellectual property. But the principles are the same. So, yeah.
And are there any guardrails that you've worked out over the last couple of years using AI, and especially how you've gone way deeper into it this year and attended some conferences around marketing? I know you and I've had some discussions around that. Is there anything you're actually doing so you don't become completely reliant on AI and the output of AI only?
Yeah. Look, I truly believe the future is not AI, it's human plus AI. It's human augmented by AI, not AI taking over. we may reach a stage of singularity where the AI is as smart as humans, but we're not there yet. Nothing can replace the human brain and the mind at this stage. So you cannot rely on AI. AI requires you to input the information in, and it requires you to deliver the final product. It can make you a lot more efficient. I never copy and paste the AI as a final output.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Even I copy and paste it into my Facebook posts. Once I copy and paste it there, I am editing, doing the final, reading everything, final edit, and then I post.
And I think that's interesting, relating it back to your idea earlier of telling stories, and we can only be the people that have lived our experience to tell the stories. Is AI can help with that, but there's so often I use it and it just gets the tone slightly wrong.
Yeah.
I understand it's about prompting and information, but I'm pretty good at writing prompts now, but it still gets some of the nuance of the tone incorrect. Because it hasn't lived my entire life experience.
Exactly.
Now, in 20 years' time, when life's been fully recorded in every single way and so on and so on.
We have Neuralink in our real time in our brains. Yeah.
Yeah, potentially that's a point where we won't have to say anything because the AI has so much context. But I think to use a lot of the chat systems is there's still got to be some editing at the end. You can get roughly the right idea. You can get probably, I would say, a 90 to 95% right output with a good prompt. But as you said, the final bit is still editing it to be your wording and your language and your story. Some of the nuances that AI will miss because it hasn't got, it wasn't there in that situation when you were young and that impactful moment happened.
And AI don't have tastes, right? AI is really good by saying, hey, give me 10 options of a headline hook, or give me 10 options of what I could write about. Choosing which one, it has to be human. It's your tastes, which is your judgment of what is actually good. AI is not very good at that.
Yeah.
Even coming up with images and now increasingly AI generated videos, it can't tell what is good. You have to say, no, fix that, change that. I don't like this. Can you tell it in different ways? It still requires a human to make that judgment of what is good.
And as you said, within your values, within your purpose, within your story, that still becomes your unique expression.
Yeah, that's right. And that is what make you stand out in the age of AI. And the other thing I want to share about AI is for the people who do not have a purpose, AI is going to take over the world. They're going to make all the decisions for you.
Oh, that's a statement. So say that again. For people with no purpose, AI is going to take their positions in the world.
Yeah, because everything you do can be done by AI. But if you are somebody with purpose, I would actually say purpose plus agency. Agency is you are prepared to take action and do something about it, not just, oh, I have a purpose, but I'm not taking any action. Right? If you are somebody with agency, AI is going to be a very, very powerful ally. You can now it makes it very easy to do everything. You can now they're talking about with AI, you can build a $1 billion company of one powered by AI. But that requires that person to know where they're going, purpose, agency, willing to take action and make a dent in the world. For those people in the world of AI, they are going to be the new class of rich.
Yeah. That's powerful. Yes. Purpose will help insulate you from any AI changes. and maybe give you the superpowers that you actually potentially want or need to be able to get to that outcome you're after.
Yeah. Yeah. The other thing I also do is that's important to me is community. And this is something that AI cannot replace. And it is real people talking, having real conversation with each other.
Mm.
And the online community I'm building right now called Purpose Driven Men is what we do. And one of the things we do is we have a check-in, and all we do is have real conversations.
Yep.
Not driven by AI, and learn from each other what we are doing in our own purpose-driven businesses, what we're learning, what mistakes are we making, and provide support to each other. Using AI as a support can be dangerous, and being reliant on AI. So.
Yes, and I think AI within the way it's set up has a tendency to reinforce where your pre-existing beliefs. I've certainly done a bit in my personalized prompting area of all the AIs to challenge me on a good number of aspects of my life, and specifically written that. I've given it six areas of my life where I say, if the what I'm after falls into these 6 areas, challenge me and ask me to make links, ask me to do work to make this better. And if it doesn't fit into any of those 6 areas, then just kind of do AI things and give me the answer how you normally would. But for business, health, finance, fitness and health, I've asked AI to give me some challenges along the way, so I'm not becoming reliant on that that answer, and it just become its own echo chamber for what I'm after.
Exactly.
Yeah. So I think moving beyond the technology, the systems, the world of business and AI, let's get a bit deeper and let's get a bit philosophical. What do you think in 2026? What do you think the definition and what it is to be a good provider in 2026, when the whole world is really pushing optimization and excellence and huge companies and that side of things? What does it mean to be an actual human, real provider?
Yeah. Number one thing is time and presence. That's the most finite resource that we have. It's our time, and therefore it's our most precious commodity. Where you put your time, I think, is very important. And it's important that you put your time where you want it to be and what is important to you, not blindly chasing whatever success may look like. So being a good provider historically has been, can you pay the bills, right? So as I learned from my that defining moment in my life when my wife said, "Hey, I'd rather you didn't earn money and we have you by our side to support us." That is a clear example of it's more than just money. It's your presence, it's your attention. So for me, being a good provider means that I'm able to allocate I'm in control of my time to spend where I want it to be spent. And part of it is having a base level of income to be able to have that luxury. So if someone doesn't have that freedom, then it is about getting that base level of income for them at that stage, at that survival stage. Then that is the focus. That is the purpose. But once you have that, then it's about really understand what is important to you. And for me, it's spending time with my kids and my wife. And actually, one of the big vision that I have to starting a business, what it enables me to do, actually, I wanted to take my kids and my wife to the Mind Valley University.
Yes. Yeah.
And Mind Valley is one of the biggest personal development organization in the world. And they do this university where for 2 months, they go to a city and you go in there and it's all about learning about personal development and all the things they don't teach you at school. And a unique feature is they have a kids track, and you can bring your kids and you learn with them. And I thought that was just the most amazing thing. And I actually put a snippet out of that on my vision board. Is I want to take my kids, spend this time in this learning environment with my kids. So, and that comes back to providing as well, right? Are we just providing our kids, our children, with just money and material things? Maybe when you're at status and survival mode, yes, that's the thing you can provide. But ultimately, what we're passing on to them, the most valuable thing is our experience, our knowledge, and the lessons that we've learned. And I couldn't imagine anything but rather do than to spend my kids learning things that I'm passionate about alongside them.
Yeah. That's very powerful, because you have been on this journey and you are on this journey. Is there anything that the journey has taught you about your relationship with money, success, self-worth, and maybe having those values realigned over the journey so far?
Yeah, there's actually one big lesson that I learned. When I started this business, I wanted to leave my 9 to 5. I want to earn enough money to replace my 9 to 5 job. But when I focused on it, I couldn't. I couldn't make any breakthrough. That's because I was stuck in this scarcity mindset. I need to be more. I need to be able to do more. I need to make more. When I make more, then things will be good. It was when I decided to let go of that goal. Hey, I just want to continue building this business, and if I keep doing this, I will be able to do it full time. But I'm not attached to this monetary thing that I have to make in this certain time period. I just want to be present, enjoy what I'm doing, and making a difference to people. When I change that focus to that, instead of the money that I'm not making, to the impact that I'm making people and how grateful I am and how privileged I am to be able to do that work, everything starts to shift. So that was the biggest lesson about starting a business.
Yeah. Yeah. It sounds like the journey is ever deepening every day, and you're finding out more and more about yourself every day. Is there something that if you were to talk to your younger self, your younger self would be so proud of yourself now?
You mean just sharing with them like what I've
Yeah.
done?
What would your younger self be proud of you for what you've achieved now, or who you've become?
Yeah, I definitely think that he'll be proud, because my younger self couldn't conceive that this is possible.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
That's
It wasn't even in the remote possibility that can happen. I mean, like earning what I'm earning without going to uni, going back to uni, and making the same amount of money, doing what I love, and being able to multiply it year on year on year to many times online, that it's inconceivable. So, yeah.
That's awesome. And the fact that you've had It sounds like one of your best months this month, and if not your best month, and it's ever expanding, is
Mm.
be a pretty cool story to turn around and say, yeah, there was a whole world out there that didn't require going to uni and living life how I was told to live life.
Yeah, yeah. And that's also another thing. I know starting a business, you turn your existing experience and knowledge into a solution for people. But the other thing you can do is what I'm doing now. I haven't left my 9 to 5. I'm still working towards it. But that doesn't stop me from making a difference. So in the world of internet, social media, and AI, you can gather how to do something very quickly and and apply it to your own life and solve this problem that you have in front of you. And once you solve this problem, now you have that experience, and you can sell this. So that time between learning, executing, uh, learning, executing, and then packaging it up into a product, that cycle is going to become shorter and shorter,
Yeah.
especially with AI.
So that really is something where, yes, you might be in a corporate job, or even in just a position in life, you want to make a change, and having a purpose-driven business is part of that. It it really might be something, and is something now,
Mm.
that process can get faster and faster. It could be just a weekend that
Yeah.
you finish on Friday, you're annoyed at the world, and then by Monday you've got your first client.
Yes, you can. And there's a part of the online business world called affiliate marketing, which is you don't even have to create your own product. You can sell other people's products. The other people created based on their expertise, and they could be the
Mhm.
guru, but you can just go and try this product and use it. I have a thing about affiliate marketing. I'm not going to promote something if I don't use it myself. So
Yeah.
I would say I would just go and try it and see whether I like it. And if it's good, I could promote it. So that is an avenue as well. So for example, the people going through my zero to launch, once they got their own, validated their business idea, and now they want to grow bigger. One way to grow bigger is to build a personal brand. Right. Now, I could go and create a course on building a personal brand, but guess what? There's hundreds and thousands of courses out there, and they're already
Yeah.
selling and they're proven. I don't need to go and create it. I can just go and pick one I like, go through it, and then, hey, you can, once you finish zero to launch, I recommend that you do this personal branding course and build your personal brand so people know who you are and will buy from you.
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
Powerful being able to lean on other people's work,
mm,
but still be in line with your own values and your own purpose.
yeah. That's right. You still got to, it's not, you still got to do the work to use it and implement it in your own life and then talk about it and promote your experience. But yeah, the heavy lifting's been done. You don't need a complete product before you go into business.
Yeah. Interesting. I think that's a whole different discussion.
Yeah.
That's pretty a pretty cool angle there. That zero to launch might not even mean you have to come up with your own product, but maybe that's a discussion for a separate thing.
Hmm.
So I want to close with the same three questions that we ask everyone that comes on the Absolutely Awesome podcast,
Yep.
and that is, first off, what one truth are you still trying to embody as an entrepreneur and a human?
Yep. That failure is okay. On certain level, I'm still terrified of failing and
Mhm.
losing money and have my family having to suffer because I want to pursue my purpose, which, is it a selfish thing that I want to do and drag them through it? On some level, I'm still working through that. Uh, I know, intellectually what I need to do. Focus on the future that you want, and just work really hard to make that happen, right? And that's what embodying it means. I'm still working on it, and I'm getting closer and closer. The more results I generate, that makes it easier to believe. And also hanging around other entrepreneurs.
Yeah, that's the imposter syndrome sort of applied to life a bit. There is, yeah. Is it fair to take people around you on that journey as well?
And I'm saying where I'm at is perfectly fine, because I want to show people that it can be done, and I can show it publicly, and that can be my hook. And you can find out what's happening, not something that someone's done years and years ago, but literally what is unfolding before your eyes.
Yeah, and you're doing it now, and in real time. So as you said, you're not doing something. There's lots of online gurus that got good in the 2015 to 2020, and it's a different. I would argue it's a somewhat of a different world, and to have someone who's actually going through that experience now and a bit ahead and can share that knowledge is really, really valuable.
And I'm giving people permission that they can start now, even though they're not a guru, right? By me doing it imperfectly, before I'm ready, messing up, I want to give people permission. You can absolutely do that, and it's not going to kill you.
Yeah.
But it can change your whole life forever.
So on the topic of changing your whole life forever, what does living an absolutely awesome life look like for you?
Yeah, I think travel is a big one. Being able to have that location freedom, to be able to do what I do from anywhere in the world. I spent the times after university, I lived in Brazil, and it was one of the best times of my life. Such a different culture, such an awesome culture. And I didn't have any responsibilities, and I was just doing what I wanted to do, And I remember when the time came to an end, I couldn't do it because I couldn't make any more money. It's time to go to make more money. So, so yeah, be able to travel anywhere, different cultures and doing what I do in different parts of the world. And also it's being able to step into the rooms with really awesome people. That's the thing being an entrepreneur can do. Once you have a product that becoming successful, or you have that, you live in that way, you can, because you are an entrepreneur, somebody who takes on problems that are not their own and making that decision to make the world a better place because of it. And you are solving problems. And because of that, people, you open the doors to a lot of people who otherwise would not talk to you. Yeah, I mean, I have that imposter syndrome, right? If I have to talk to someone really powerful, who am I to talk to the people? But the fact that Elon Musk can step into the White House and influence everything, policy, the most powerful person in the world, talk to him, and CMS council, at least at that time anyway. Yeah, just being able to hang out with really cool people, whoever you want, is part of being an entrepreneur, will enable you to do.
Yeah, sounds like a pretty awesome life to me. And where can people find out about the Purpose-Driven Men community, your Zero to the Launch course, and anything else that you do? Wei, it's been, give yourself a good plug here and where people can connect.
Yeah, look, for me, I don't have a website. I actually tell people you don't need a website to start a business. So I still haven't got a website. I'm probably at a time where I need one now, but
Yeah, that's amazing. You've had one of your best months and you don't have a website.
Yeah.
So really shows that
Yeah.
truth in reality.
Yeah. So I've chosen Facebook as my platform where I'm doing my content. So you can find me on Facebook, Wei and Kong. Or my social media handle is at my full name at Wei and Kong.
Yeah.
And I have a link to my school community on there. So yeah, just go onto my Facebook. You can see my content. I'm committing to publishing one piece of content every single day, to sharing what I'm doing and what's happening, and the link to school community. In the school community, I put the Zero to Launch course. I'm making that free for anybody who's looking at starting a purpose-driven business.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, so that's all my knowledge you can get for free when you join, and you can be part of other purpose-driven men who are on the same journey as well.
Sounds awesome. I will make sure there's a link underneath this video and all the various places that this will go out as well. So it should be super easy for people to jump in and go to the school community. I didn't realize even what, a lot of what we talked about today, all of your course and everything around developing a purpose-driven business is free in your world as well. So hats off for doing that.
Yeah, look, I want to see more. I'm working with men, but I can also work with women as well. But specifically, the whole marketing thing, you need to niche down and all that. But yeah, I want to see everyone start a purpose-driven business, and I believe the world will be a better place if everyone do what they're passionate about, do what is aligned with their values, and create something that's going to make a positive change in the world.
Well, Wei, that seems like a perfect place and a perfect values to be ending on. So, Wei, thank you very much for your time today. Thank you for jumping on the podcast.
Thank you for having me, and it's a pleasure.